You know, some trips are just so routine you don't even think twice about them. A commute to work, a bus ride to a nearby city. But on the Hyderabad-Bijapur highway, one of these everyday journeys, well, it turned into an absolute national tragedy. We're going to walk through the story of that collision, a disaster that not only shocked a community, but also revealed a whole system of warnings that went completely ignored.
19 to 20. That's the number at the very heart of this story. Just let that sink in for a second. In one single horrifying moment, that many lives were just gone. It's so much more than a statistic, isn't it? It's a count of lost futures, of families completely shattered, and a community just left reeling in grief.
So what happened? The incident itself took place near a village called Mirzaguda on what should have been a totally normal day. It involved two vehicles on a direct collision course, an encounter that was about to have the most devastating outcome imaginable.
Okay, so picture this. On one side, you've got a state-run bus. It's packed, carrying somewhere between 60 and 70 passengers, just making its regular trip from the town of Tandur to the big city, Hyderabad. And on the other side, a massive tipper truck, heavily loaded down with gravel, just barreling down the road from the opposite direction. Two totally different vehicles hurtling right towards each other on the same narrow road.
And the impact, it was absolutely catastrophic. The head-on collision just obliterated the entire front of the bus. But here's what made this crash so uniquely horrific. It was the truck's cargo. The entire load of gravel, all of it, poured directly into the bus, literally burying the passengers inside. Behind all the twisted metal and the shocking headlines, you always find the people whose journeys just ended right there on that highway. So let's move from the mechanics of the crash to its unbearable human cost. This tragedy, it really spared no one. The drivers of both vehicles, they died instantly. But the toll just went so much further. Among the victims were women and children. Some of them were just infants. It's just devastating. Entire families were completely torn apart in a single moment. In the immediate aftermath, a desperate race against time began. Rescuers arrived to a scene of just absolute devastation, and they were facing an incredibly complex and dangerous operation to try and save anyone they could.
And this was no simple rescue. No way. The bus was so mangled and that gravel was so heavy that the first responders couldn't even get through. They had to bring in heavy machinery, we're talking JCBs, just to start cutting through the wreckage and begin that painstaking search for survivors.
Now, this is where the story shifts from a tragic what to a really unsettling why. Because for the people who use this highway every single day, this catastrophe wasn't just a shock. It was the realization of their absolute greatest fears. For the local community, this was a tragedy they had literally seen coming for years. Residents had been raising the alarm over and over again about this highway. They were pointing to dangerous potholes, dangerously narrow stretches, and just relentless heavy traffic. To them, this wasn't some freak accident. It felt like it was inevitable.
So, in the wake of the tragedy, the focus, as it often does, turned to accountability and to action. How would the authorities respond? And what would the community demand?
The official response, well, it followed a pretty familiar pattern. The state government ordered an inquiry. They announced financial compensation for the victims' families, but for the grieving community, that just wasn't enough. Not even close. Anguish quickly turned to anger. Protests erupted, with residents demanding one thing above all else: immediate action to widen and repair that deadly highway.
And this really brings us to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? We've all seen inquiries and compensation promises before, but the community is asking if this time will actually be different. Will the loss of nearly 20 lives finally be the thing that forces meaningful, lasting change on this dangerous stretch of road?
It's easy to focus on a tragedy when it's all over the news. But what happens weeks, months, or even years from now? Who holds the system accountable to make sure that a routine journey from Tandur to Hyderabad is just that, routine, and never, ever again, a gamble with life itself?